the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th book. Wow. The second book I have to show you guys is Why is this so difficult today? Hey guys, it's Jay and I'm here with my June wrap-up. I have 11 books to show you, but I actually read 12, but one was on my computer, so I will leave the Goodreads page down below so you guys can check that book out too if you want. So, let us get started! Yeah! First book I have to show you guys is The Duff by Cody Keplinger. I'm sure all of you guys know by now that I am in love with this book. It's so good. I comment on all your videos if you guys haul it and I freak out about it and I love it so much. But this book is about Bianca Piper, who has never been the prettiest girl in her group of friends, and she's okay with it until she meets Wesley Rush, the school's biggest player. And he calls her the Duff, which means the designated ugly fat friend. And obviously she hates him and she despises him now and she wants nothing to do with him. She cannot stand him. And so when kissing Wesley gives her major feels, she's a little bit confused, as would anybody be if that happened to them. And so she decides that she's going to start a relationship with Wesley, and it's going to distract her from a bunch of things that go on in her personal life. And basically it's all about how she comes to deal with Wesley and her family and everything going on, and it's just a really cute story and I would recommend it 100%. Like, read this book. It's adorable. And obviously if you haven't figured out already, I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads because it is awesome. It's one of my favorite books now, so seriously, read the book. Read it. The second book I have to show you guys is All Fall Down by Jennifer Weiner. This book is about Allison Wise, a woman who has everything she could ever want. She has an adorable little girl, a loving husband, a giant house, and a job that pays really well. What more could she want, right? Unfortunately for Allison, her husband is becoming increasingly distant. Her daughter's extremely hard to handle with her temper tantrums every single day. Her parents are becoming a burden, and her job is getting extremely hard to handle and way too stressful. Enter prescription painkillers, which Allison took about a year ago for a back injury that she got. Allison quickly becomes addicted to these painkillers, and she spends more time thinking about when she's going to get her next pill and how she's going to get them instead of focusing on her family and her job. All Fall Down is the story of Allison and how she is going to overcome her addiction to painkillers. I really liked this book. It was a really good story, but I found it extremely hard to read, and I ended up only giving it 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Third book I have to show you guys is Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac by Gabrielle Zevin. Yeah. This book follows Naomi Porter, a teenager who falls down her front steps of her school and ends up losing her memory for 4 years of her life. I really did not like Naomi whatsoever. She was extremely annoying to me. She let everybody walk all over her. She didn't stand up for herself once, no matter what happened. James and Ace were complete jerks. The only 2 characters that I really liked were Will, her best friend, and her dad, Mr. Porter, and she treated them terribly, and it just bothered me so much. Also, the ending, there's no closure whatsoever. It just, like, abruptly ends, and you're like, oh, what? Like, what happened? I don't understand. Why? Why, Gabrielle Zevin? Why? But I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Fourth book I'm going to show you guys is Feeling Sorry for Celia by Jacqueline Moriarty. Feeling Sorry for Celia is written all in letter form or postcards or little tiny notes. The letters are between Elizabeth Clary and other secondary characters, and I think this is such an interesting concept for a book because it went by pretty fast because of it. Elizabeth's teacher decided to bring back the art of letters. Elizabeth ends up getting paired with a girl named Christina, and they instantly click and become friends right away and end up writing letters to each other whenever they feel the need to talk to somebody. Celia in the title actually refers to Elizabeth's best friend, Celia, who ends up going missing a bunch of times. Elizabeth also writes little notes to her mother, which I found to be the best part of the book. They were so funny. her mom is the best character in this book. I gave the book 3 out of 5 stars because I found it a little bit boring until the last 100 pages of the book, which is when it picked up and became more interesting. But all in all, it was an okay book. The 5th book I have to show you guys is Even Adam by Michael Grant and Catherine Applegate. Evening Spiker, daughter of cold bitch scientist Tara Spiker, finds herself in a hospital bed after a terrible accident leaves her body mangled and broken. Her mother, well, Solo the errand boy, who isn't all that he seems, whisks her away to her lab, Spiker Biofarm. Eve finds her body healing at an alarming rate, and to distract her, her mother gives her the task to create the perfect boy, Adam, through a simulation. Ooh. I love this fun, fast-paced book, and I was instantly drawn to it because cover, beautiful, am I right? It's just so pretty. And it is pretty much like any other book, you know, like love triangle, evil parents, blah 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 blah, annoying best friend, whatever. But it's unique in all of its own ways as well. I love the characters, especially Eve and her mother. I found them so funny and witty, and Solo I really liked as well, but Aislinn, the best friend, pissed me off. She was so annoying and really dumb, and I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The 6th book I have to show you guys is Forget You by Jennifer Eccles. Zoe Commander, a senior on her high school swim team, works at her demanding father's water park, Slide with Clyde, with all of her swim team members, except for bad boy Doug Fox. When Zoe's world comes crumbling around her, her father impregnated her 24-year-old co-worker, her dad is also divorcing her mom, and her mom just attempted suicide, she turns to her friend Brandon Moore. Although her relationship is new with Brandon and quite confusing, she wants him to make everything better. But one night after a party, Zoe gets in a car crash and develops amnesia about the party that night. Suddenly, Zoe finds herself very confused when Brandon starts to avoid her and Doug starts acting as if something significant happened between them. You follow Zoe on her quest to pertain her memory to the night of the wreck. Most of the characters in this book drove me insane. I hated them. Zoe was annoying, Brandon was a jerk. I did really like Doug though. You could tell he was so in love with Zoe, and it was so cute how he acted with her, and I really liked him. And I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The 7th book I have to show you guys is 37 by Maria Beaumont. I don't know how to say it. This book follows Fran Clark, a 37-year-old housewife who is going through a midlife crisis. I hated this book. It was so boring and it took me so long to get through. I hated it. But I bought it because the cover was pretty, and I really like the cover, even though it's kind of ugly now that I look at it. But like the 37 is raised and I just like it. And it has little confetti in it. I don't know if you can see it, but it made me happy, so I bought it. But I would not recommend it at all. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I hated it. I hated it. Next 3 books I'm going to show you is The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. The series goes The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. I really don't want to give a summary for it because I feel like I'm going to spoil, but I'll give the summary for the first one. Good plan. 15-year-old Belly has been spending her summers in Cousins Beach for as long as she can remember with her mother and brother Stephen. The house belongs to Susanna, her mother's best friend, and her 2 boys, Jeremiah, who's the fun-loving, enthusiastic boy, and Conrad, the dark, moody boy. Belly has been in love with Conrad for as long as she can remember. Most often during the summer, the boys paid no attention to little old Belly Button, as they call her, and she's determined that she's going to make this summer different. It turns out that Belly has become a pretty young woman in the matter of a year, and both boys can't help but notice. Enter Cam, a boy Belly meets at a bonfire one night. He is so sweet and so funny, and Belly can't help but finding herself wanting to spend more time with him. Unfortunately for Belly, Conrad and Jeremiah are forever on her mind. Who will she pick? Only summer will tell. I absolutely love these books. They are so cute. Belly was annoying, but throughout the series she became a lot more tolerable. And I absolutely loved Jeremiah, and then I ended up hating him at the end. And I hated Conrad at the beginning and ended up loving him at the end. So really, just read the books because they're really good, and I'm sure all of you will like them. And I gave it all 3 of 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. The final book I have to show you guys is Exposed by Susan Vaught. This book follows 16-year-old Chan Sheely, who has everything going for her. She has straight A's, an amazing best friend, and a shot at regionals for twirling. Unfortunately, she is feeling a little bit lonely in the boy department after a nasty breakup with her high school's quarterback left her with a case of herpes. She feels that nobody in her school is ever going to want to date her, so she decides that she's going to find a boy online to date. She creates a profile on a very popular webpage called Blawfest, and this is where she meets Paul, who is Nighthawk859. He instantly becomes everything to her, causing her relationship with her best friend to falter and her grades to slip. One night, her mother walks in on her talking to Paul on video chat and becomes very angry and takes her computer away. In order to finish a school project, Chan's mother allows her to use her 8-year-old sister's computer. What Chan discovers is devastating. Lauren has a screen concealer from the same website Paul showed her. Chan must now decide what to do when the truth comes crashing down on her. I found this book to be very slow until about the last 60 pages when all the plot twists came into effect and all the action started, and that's when it became interesting. Chan bothered me quite a bit, and I found her extremely bland and whiny. This book is really valuable to read for teenagers and young children. I think a lot of people should read it because it really gets the message across of internet safety and the dangers that come from talking to strangers on the internet. So I really think it was a valuable read for me. I ended up giving the book a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. So there you go, guys. That is my June wrap up, and I will be back soon with my July TBR. Goodbye! Amy Porter and my mom is talking TV. Intermission. Dinner is nearly ready. Okay, thanks. I'm filming. Ah!
So I thought it was funny.
Mom is talking to me again! She's doing this to me. Come hither. Dinner time. Bringing her, I don't know what I'm saying. Ah.